Hi, yogis. It's Michelle. Welcome to class. Today's class will be about an hour long, geared more towards beginners. So I'm going to take it a little slower, not do that many inversions or headstands. So if you wanted to add it into your practice, feel free, add it in. If you have a block or a strap, that comes really handy. If you don't have a block, maybe a book or a couple of books, you decide. So we're going to start in child's pose, bringing your toes together to touch. And before we get any further, we're going to use a breath called Ujjayi breathing. And for those of you who are new, that breath is we breathe in and out of our nose, pulling breath through the very backs of our throat, restricting those muscles so it's an intentional breath. We breathe in to lengthen and we exhale to tighten. So when you're ready, we'll start our class by honoring our bodies and how we feel today. So if you like your knees really wide, really wide. If you like a little more support in your low back, bring your knees a little closer or bring your knees all the way together. So fidget around a little bit to find yourself in as comfortable of a place as you can get. You can bring your hands out in front of you. You can bring your hands by your side. And if your hips don't touch your heels, that's really normal. A lot of times people come into class and their hips don't touch their heels. You can use a block. You can sit back on the block if you have one. You don't need to. You can just keep your hips up. So we'll stop in order to start our practice. So begin with your Ujjayi breathing, which we talked about, in and out of the nose, regulating our breath, relaxing areas like your face and your jaw, just letting things go for a moment, and just observing how you feel mentally, physically, and emotionally. We'll use our breath to anchor us into each pose. And don't worry about trying to perfect a pose. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about your breath and the quality of it. And then we'll set an intention to keep us focused on our breath. An intention or even a word like breathe or be here or a mantra, I am. So you get to choose. We'll start to activate the pose. So stretch your fingertips out a little further. Oh, yeah, have fun. And take another deep breath in. And together, open up your mouth and sigh it out. On your next inhale, lift up your torso and walk your hands over to the right. Go as far as you can to feel a stretch on the left side of the body. So if it's too much, just back off because it's about your breath. Inhale in for about a count of 4. Maybe a little pause at the top to take another little sip in. And then exhaling out a little bit slower, a little bit longer, and all the way to empty. And I really like to find my pause here. We'll take 2 more just like that. One more. And then we'll lift up the torso and walk it over to the other side. So I do like beginning in child's pose for a number of physical reasons. Reasons like it opens up my hips and it releases tension in my low back, but it also gives me a really good experience with my ujjayi breathing. The audible sounds I can hear clearly. One more breath. Awesome. Bring it back to center. Remind yourself of your intention. Remind yourself to have fun, have a sense of humor, and enjoy yourself. Lift up to all fours, and then line up the creases of your wrist, the eye of the elbow, and the shoulders. So you're actually wrapping the triceps back towards your feet, broadening through the collarbones and making space. On an inhale, we're going to let the belly dip down to the earth. Lift your tail, start to lift your gaze, opening up the throat, opening up the front body. On an exhale, push down through all 10 fingertips, the knuckles of your index fingers and middle fingers, and start to round your spine. Push with your feet, your shins, and hollow out the front body. Inhale, let the belly go. Lift your gaze. Pull the shoulders back. Lift your tail. Breathe in as much as you can. And exhale, round and curl. Nice and slow, all the way to empty. We'll do it 2 more times. This time, we'll pick up the feet and tuck the toes. Inhale. Just notice how it feels. Let go of expectations and just take this time to observe. Exhale, round and curl. So we're connecting with all these sensations in our bodies that are already there. It just takes us, inhale, let the belly go. It takes us these times to stop everything we're doing, stop our thinking, and connect. Connect to our breath and connect to the physical body. And then last time, round and curl. Inhale, back to neutral, and dial your fingertips back towards your knees. Now, this took me a few years to get. So if you're new, dial your fingertips out to the side and then just move side to side. When you go to the right, you feel a little sensation. It's been there. Breathe into it. And same thing, when you go to the left, you feel tension. If you feel the tension, it lives there. But you have to get here to breathe, to make the space. Bring it back to center, and then just dial the fingertips back. Bring your knees a little closer. Bring your ankle bones to kiss, and sit all the way back on your heels to stretch the bottoms of the feet and your toes. On an inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Lift your lower belly. Touch your palms together. And exhale, ribs and belly in, hands to heart. Inhale, interlace the fingers. Push your palms forward and up, lifting the low belly. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, center. And exhale, twist to the left. Don't force it. Just observe and do the best you can. Inhale back to center. And this time, exhale, cactus your elbows. Draw the elbows down towards your hips. Shoulder blades kiss and draw down towards the waist. Inhale, spread the fingers. Lift your arms back up. Bring your hands back together. take a moment to remind yourself of your intention. I know you're feeling it in your toes. And then take your hands back down, lift up the feet, and give your feet a little tap, or maybe roll out your ankles a few times, wiggle your toes, or just simply sit in that sensation and observe it fading with your breath. On your next inhale, we're going to flip just the right palm up. Give your fingers a little wiggle, maybe even make a fist, maybe none of that. Maybe you're right here. If you're right here and the wrist is up, bend your elbows. Lean into it. Don't force it. This is good enough. And then we're going to take an inhale and sweep the right arm to the right and up, breathing in as much as we can. And then exhale, threading it across the chest around the left armpit, bringing your right ear to the mat. Now, a lot of times I see people with their heads up. Try to maybe bring your arm back a little more. Make the adjustment to get your right ear down. And for those of you who are seasoned yogis, feel free to explore your pose going deeper by maybe lifting a leg or lifting the arm, going for wrap and bind. Just one more breath. On an inhale, we're going to press down with the left hand, reach the right arm back up, bring the right hand in, and reach the right hand forward and kick your left leg back. Now take a moment to check in with your left wrist. Make sure your left wrist is under your shoulder. I see a lot of times people will be here from that pose. So we have to be mindful and make adjustments. Exhale, round and curl. Just like your angry cat, puff up the back and hollow out the front body. Inhale, stretch and reach. And exhale, round and curl. One more inhale, stretch and reach. And exhale, round and curl. Coming into a modified version of side plank. Your right hand comes down, you spin your right foot off the mat. Make sure your wrist, elbow, and shoulder all line up. Lift your left arm up. Kick your left foot back. Left leg straight and strong. Left foot flex. Deep breath in. And for those of you who are seasoned, you know where to go from here. Bicep by your ear. And then lower your left foot. Anchor the outer edge and find a little more space out of the left hip joint. Draw the flesh of your sit bones towards your heels, your ribs and navel in. One more breath. Inhale, circle your right arm all the way around. Bring your left arm all the way around. Bring your left hand back. Bring your right knee back in. Take a moment and do a few cat-cows. Inhale, let the belly go. Lift your gaze. Exhale, round and curl. Push away from the earth. So you can continue with a few more cat-cows, or you can be a little more organic and make circles around your mat. Inhaling and exhaling. Movement and breath are one. Reverse your direction if you haven't already. Bringing it all the way back to neutral to move to the other side. Left palm flips, fingertips face your right hand. Wiggle the fingers. Again, if it's too much, get your whole forearm down. And little by little, you'll start to lift and peel the elbow away from the mat, finding a nice straight arm and even a little mobility around your elbow and wrist. On your next inhale, take the left arm to the left and up. And on an exhale, thread the needle through the hole. Left ear down. And then whatever you did on the other side, mirror it here. 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, you'll use your right hand to press down. And before you transition, you want your breath to start first. Your movement rides the wave. Inhale. Exhale. Right foot kicks back. Make your adjustments with that right hand. You're going to have to check in. Exhale, round and curl. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Bringing your left hand down. Moving left foot to the left like a kickstand to help you balance. Check in, wrist, elbow, shoulder. I like to use my left hand just to make sure I'm lined up. Right foot is flexed, right leg is right leg is engaged. Stay there or move into the pose the way you did on the other side. Inhale, working with dual action. So your right foot pushes back and your right hand reaches forward. Breathe so deeply you feel the skin on the right side of your body stretching. So once you get into the pose begins. You breathe. That's where we make the space. One more inhale. And then on an inhale, we'll slowly circle it around, moving very mindfully, placing everything down, checking in constantly, bringing the right knee in, tucking your toes, lifting your low belly, lifting your knees, and slowly lifting the hips. Keep your knees soft. Look at your hands before you drop your head back. Make sure your fingers are spread wide. I like to have my index fingers facing forward. Some people like their middle finger facing forward, but push. Arms are straight and strong. Your elbows wrap to the back. Now my ears line up with my biceps. And if you can, try to get your heels towards the earth. If the heels don't touch, keep the knees nice and soft. Take another deep breath in. Lift your low belly. Lift the ribs. Open up your mouth and say, ah. On your next inhale, you're going to walk it back to meet your feet. And then you're going to open up your feet the width of your mat, bringing your heels in and your toes out. You're going to lower your seat as low as you can before your heels lift. Once the heels lift, know that's as far as you should go. Doing our best to lower the seat all the way down. If you have a block, you could use your block. You can place it on any side, low, medium, or even high. Oh, that feels nice. Bringing the hands to the heart. Take a few more breaths here. I want to thank you all for your comments. That's why I'm doing the beginner yoga. So if you have more suggestions or even any kind of comments, I read them all. I try to reply to them all, and I definitely appreciate it. So one more breath here. We're going to take our hands down As we lift up our hips, lift up your heels, turn your toes forward so the pinky and the heels line up with the edges of your mat. So that is good alignment. This is not. So slightly turn the toes in. Grab a hold of opposite elbows. Let your head dangle between the shoulders or outside or inside. It doesn't matter. Keep the knees soft, or if you have pretty flexible hamstrings, you can start to straighten them. Maybe bend the knees, move right and left, left and right. Just one more breath here. On your next inhale, we're going to soften the knees and ragdoll our way all the way up to standing. Bringing our feet a little bit closer together. You can bring them all the way together, or you can have them somewhat apart. Choose what feels good in your body today. On an inhale, press down into the feet, all four sides. Reach your arms up, lift the low belly. And on an exhale, reach your arms back. Find a little back bend. Lift up the kneecaps, engage your quads. Relax your face, relax your jaw. And it's not about how far you're going back, it's about that reach, it's about your breath and having proper alignment. So make sure your legs are locked, your quads are tight. One more inhale here. On your next inhale, bring your gaze forward, soften your knees, open up the arms, lead with the heart, and forward fold all the way over. 3 pulsations. Inhale, halfway lift, so your belly stays on your thighs. So if you have to bend your knees this much, bend them this much. If you don't have to, don't force it. Exhale and fold. This is where you want to try to straighten your legs the best you can. Keep the weight in the inner foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Send the weight back into your heels if you can, without lifting the big toes or the little toes. But if it's possible, lift the 3 toes in the middle. That comes with practice. Exhale, and I've made it a habit. One more big inhale. And this time, open up your mouth and say, ah. Sighing it out. That sigh, the body receives that as pure joy. Soften your knees and walk it all the way out to a high plank pose. And then we're going to lower to our elbows to a forearm plank. And then lower the knees, untuck your toes, lower your thighs, and then your pubic bone, Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose is a great modification for Cobra pose. So if you have a tight low back and you're beginning, this is a great place to be. And I would recommend doing this one in particular, every day. So just one more breath. You want to feel the hands in the forearms, tracking back, lengthening, drawing the heart forward and up. Almost as if you're pulling your hips up, but everything below your waist is relaxed. We're going to lower the forehead all the way down. Take the hands underneath your shoulders. Fingers line up with your nipples. Press down into the feet, and if it's too much, go right back to your Sphinx pose on the elbows. Inhale. And on an exhale, lift up your hips, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Arms are nice and straight. Knees are soft, especially if your hamstrings are tight. Remember, it's a practice, not a perfection. We're going to inhale, sweep the right leg back and up. And on an exhale, we're going to bring the thigh up to the belly, empty out all the air in our lungs, and then look to the top of the mat and step our right foot. If it doesn't make it all the way up between your hands, you're going to slide your right hand back to the back of the ankle and give it as much assistance as you need. We're going to lower the left knee down and untuck the toes and rise all the way up. That's the baby. To a low crescent lunge. Hi, baby. Sweep your arms up. Hug your right hip back. Lift the lower belly. And then we'll inhale a gentle side bend to the right. So when we side bend to the right, we're stretching the left side of the body. In order to get the most out of this, push down with your left shin and your foot. Reach with your hands. Feel the stretch. Lifting the rib cage out of the waist away from the hip. Inhale, rise back up. Try to keep the length as you exhale to the left. Aw. There's a baby. Inhale, push down, rise up. Exhale, we'll finish with cactus arms. Move the elbows back, shoulder blades kiss and draw down towards the waist, pushing the front of the heart forward. Inhale, your hands come forward. Straighten your right leg, lift the right toes, half split pose. So a lot of variations here. For those of you who are advanced, you could feel free, go into full split. If you want to modify this pose, you can tuck your toes and take the block, sit back. You might need to untuck the toes if the block is low. Or you can keep it lifted with tucked toes. Or you don't even need a block. You can take your foot and it turns in and you can sit back on the foot. This is stretching the leg. If your knee is bent, that's okay. Reach for the toes. If your leg is straight, try to reach for the toes and fold over your right thigh. Now we want to work evenly both sides of the body. The right hip pulls back, the left thigh pulls forward. Constantly maintaining balance on the right and left side. Constantly deepening our breath and not worrying about the leg being straight or bent or whatever. On your next inhale, we're going to lift up, tuck the back toes. We're going to come up to our first challenging pose, which is half moon. Walk your fingertips out 12 inches in front of your right pinky toe. Lift your left leg. You can keep both hands on the mat. Just turn your left toes to the left. Try to get your right rib cage towards your right thigh. Maybe your left hand to the hip. Maybe hand to the sky. Maybe the gaze goes up. Just take one more breath here. Both legs straight and strong. Put a little bend in the right knee. Step your left foot back and rise up to warrior two. Back foot lines up with the back of your mat. Your right knee is over your ankle, aiming over your second toe. So if you were to look to the inside of the knee, you should be able to see your foot. Press evenly into both heels. Take one more breath here. Flip your right palm, reach the right hand forward, and exalt your warrior two. Push down with your right heel to stretch a little more with your right fingertips. Inhale and exhale. Bring it back. Side angle, Parsva Konasana, right forearm on the thigh, left bicep by your ear. Hi, my sweet angel. Slowly coming up with a straight leg, interlacing your fingers behind you, pivot your right toes in. Press your palms together, squeeze your shoulder blades, inhale, look up. If this is too much and you have a towel or a strap, grab the towel or the strap. Sometimes I like the strap a little more, especially if your shoulders are tight, even if you can bind, but to get a better grip. We'll start to fold all the way over. And then doing the best you can with letting the arms right off the back. So this is where the strap will come in handy if you have the towel, really tight shoulders. If you're here too close, there's not a lot of room. But if you go wider, there tends to be a little more space, a little more give. So when you're ready, we'll release the binds, bring the hands under the shoulders, bend your knees left and right just a few times. And then we'll take it all the way around to a right side lunge. Now we opened up our hips. Now we want to close the hips. Walk your left hand forward 12 inches in front of the right big toe, revolving half moon. So your right hip hugs back. Left leg straight and strong. Kneecap lifts, thigh engaged. Maybe your right hand sweeps up to the sky. So right now I'm really rooting in to the big toe mound on the right side and squeezing my outer right hip back. Your left toes can be pointed or flexed. We're going to lower the hands and come into pyramid pose, where the feet are still hip bone distance apart. So this left foot is not behind your right. It's actually in front of the left hip. All 10 toes face forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And then exhale, fold the best you can. This is where a block comes in handy as extensions of your arms. So if reaching for the floor seems impossible and you're all rounded, you have a block or your book, whatever you need. One more inhale. On your next inhale, we'll look up halfway. Take your left hand to the inside or outside of the foot or block. Take your right hand to your right hip or sky and twist. Look over your right shoulder. If you bend your right knee, bend both knees evenly. On your next inhale, gently release, framing your right foot, soften the right knee, and lift your left leg up for a supported warrior 3 or maybe a few handstand hops. Can lift up to your fingertips, just one more breath. Strengthening that glute, I know you feel it. Soften the right knee, step your left foot back, step your right foot back, find your way into a high plank pose. Deep breath in, lift the belly, wrap the ribs in. On an exhale, your low push-up, which you can lower right to the floor and come into your Sphinx pose or your Cobra pose for 3, 2, and 1. From Cobra pose, we inhale. And we exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. One more clearing breath together. Inhale through the nose. Open up the mouth and sigh it out. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Exhale the thigh to your belly. Round and curl your spine. Maybe need a nose. Finish on the exhale. Then inhale, gaze at your hands. Step your left foot up if it doesn't make it. Left hand grabs the ankle and you assist it as many times as you need, all the way up. Inhale, you can always take the block and place it under the knee as well. Rise up to your low lunge. Inhale, lift the belly. Exhale. Inhale, side bend to the left. Press down with the right shin. Reach with the fingers. Feel the space between your right lower rib and the top of your right hip. Inhale, lift the belly. And exhale to the other side. Inhale, back up. Exhale, cactus your elbows. Elbows move back and down towards the hips. Shoulder blades squeeze in, draw down towards the waist and the heart lifts. Your inhale brings your hands back to frame your left foot, and then finding your way into half split pose. So wherever you went on the other side, you want to sit on the block. That is definitely enjoyable. So even though we're here stretching the back of our left leg, you're also stretching this knee. So if you're new, I know you're feeling it here. I know you're feeling it here. It's part of the process. Lucky you. It's like a bonus, I think. One more deep breath in, because the pose is here in the back of the leg and the engagement of the front of the leg. So to maximize the stretch, you have to engage. So coming to our half moon pose, lifting up, tuck your toes, stretch your hand out. You can place both hands down to come into this pose. You can leave both hands down in this pose. Just turn your right toes to the right. Try to stack the right hip on top of the left and try to move your left rib cage to the left thigh. And then you might feel pretty secure there, and you can bring your right hand to your hip, maybe even to the sky. One day, bending that right knee and grabbing the foot. From here, we soften the left knee. You can bring your left hand back down on the mat to step your right foot back. Your heel lines up with the back arch. Rise up to a warrior two. Shoulders over hips, arms out. Gaze down. Make sure your knee, shin, and ankle are all facing forward, as well as your toes. And the knee is going over the second toe. One more deep breath in. Arms are straight and strong. If someone came over to push my arms, they would not be able to. So you're not here. It's active. Hands active. Everything's active. Flip your left palm. Inhale, reach it forward. And exhale, exalt. A peaceful warrior. Push down with your left heel to reach a little more with your left fingertips. Driving the right inner groin towards that left heel. Inhale, bring it back up, warrior two. Left forearm to your left thigh. Notice my shoulder does not move here. Left forearm down, right arm up. So if you're here, I want you to come out of it. Maybe even don't bend that left knee as much. Maybe your hand is there. Long right side body, streaming from right pinky toe to right pinky finger. Inhale as you come up, interlace your fingers or grab your strap, lift the left toes, straighten the left leg, and pivot your toes in. And then we'll take a goddess pose. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Bend your knees. Now this would be horse, so you can stay here, or you can come all the way down, getting your thighs parallel to the mat. Tailbone towards the earth, navel and ribs in, palms press. On your next inhale, cactus your elbows. Stay there or float your heels up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower your heels, lower your hands down. When the hands touch, lift your heels and turn your heels out. Then we're going to walk it over to the left, turn the left toes to the top right corner of the mat, coming into runner's stretch. The goal is to keep this left heel down. If that left heel won't stay down and you're up here, it's pretty intense on the thigh. Take the block and stick it underneath your heel or a book. And then just breathe. You can linger here. The work is here in the opening of the hips, the engagement of the thigh, the flexing of the foot, maybe hands to the heart, maybe a twist. And we'll bring it back to center. Use our hands and our breath. Inhale, ride it up and over to the other side. It actually felt really good with the block underneath the heel. I might start doing that a little bit more. So you choose. Sometimes modifications help you feel more in the pose what you're supposed to feel. So no shame in a little assistance in the strap or the blocks. One more breath. Bringing the hands back and then down to the mat and lifting up. And then we'll look at the toes, make sure they're all on the same line. Toes slightly turn in so you can root into the outer edges to lift the arches. Stretch your fingertips forward, take a breath in, lift the belly, the ribs. Open up your mouth and say, ah. On an inhale, lift your right arm. And exhale, let it go. Inhale, lift your left arm. And exhale, let it go. And bring the hands back underneath your shoulders. Bend your knees left and right a few times. And then we'll bring it all the way back around to a left side lunge and step the right foot next to your left. Bend your knees, lift your heels, toes stand. So if this is too much, leave your hands here or bring your hands to your heart. And just hold for 5, 4, 3, squeeze your legs, 2, and 1. We're going to slowly lower the seat all the way down. Take the right foot towards the right corner of your mat and bring your left heel in towards your pubic bone. If you have a strap, it comes very handy in this pose. We're going to inhale, fold over the right thigh. Moving your elbows towards the mat if that's possible. Staying right here if that's where you're at. Awesome. We're going to take the same foot, leave the left leg where it is, lean on the left, lean on the left, slide your right foot back, your right toes face the back of your mat, and then work your hands back. This might be where you stop. If it's possible, you lower to your elbows. Make sure your foot is facing back. Lift your chin away from your chest, but don't drop the head back. Just have some control. We'll lean to the left again. Sweep the right leg out and lift ourselves back up. Switch. Left foot to the left, right foot in. Grab the strap or just fold over your left leg. So grabbing the strap or the towel is like riding a horse. This isn't how you would ride a horse. This isn't how you would ride a horse, but somewhere in the middle is where you have control with a little buoyancy. And little by little, you walk down the strap. Just one more breath. We'll slowly take ourselves back up. Lean to the right. Really important to be mindful of the knee. Slide your left foot back. Left toes face behind you. Stay right here, stretching the very front of your left thigh, probably getting a nice stretch around that right knee as well. And then come to the elbows. This is one of the exercises my husband does almost every day for his low back issues. I really do appreciate all the subscribes and likes and look forward to more comments. It's fun. I want to give you guys back a little bit of what you've been giving me in class for all these years. So when you're ready, we'll lean to the right, slide the left leg back out, and then slide your right leg out. Rock it side to side a few times. And then inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. So just be mindful. I notice a lot of times when people use a strap here, they do this. Bring it somewhere neutral. Play with it. Move your ears, move your head. It should feel comfortable, not tension, but natural. On your next inhale, we'll roll all the way back up and then slowly all the way down. When you get there, just take a moment and observe how you feel. Say something nice about yourself. Say something nice about your family members that you're probably stuck in your house with, going on 3 weeks now. But it all starts in our minds, having a positive attitude, keeping positive thoughts. On your next inhale, sweep your arms over your head. Notice how my low back lifted away from the mat. Before I pull my knees in, I'm going to pull my belly and ribs in. And then I'm going to bring my knees in. Lift up your head, neck, and shoulders if that serves you, and give yourself a tight little squeeze. Lower your head down and rock it side to side. And then we'll take a pigeon pose, variation. Right ankle on your left thigh. Lift the left foot. Option to keep your right elbow down. Right hand to the inner right knee. Left hand grabs a hold to the front of the knee or the back of your left leg or the foot itself. If you're grabbing the foot, be mindful not to twist the ankle. Keep the foot lined up, the ankle lined up. Another option would be to thread the hand through the hole. And if you're feeling really flexible, I got this from Susan, who takes my class. She has such open hips that she takes her foot in the crease of her elbow and her shin bone is right on top, parallel to her shoulders. Very impressive. And I know she's stuck home with a lot of boys at her house right now. On your next inhale, lift your right leg, roll around the ankle a few times, point and flex your foot, and then lower your right foot, pigeon on the other side. So however you did it on that side, do on this side. And you can play with the different variations. The longer you linger in the pose, the more space you have. So feel free to go a little deeper. Feel free to back off too. Go ahead, release your right foot and lift up your left leg. Roll around your ankle and reverse it. So the next one is bridge. A lot of variations. People who take my class, I like them to place a block between their feet because I feel when you squeeze your feet, you're squeezing in more with your inner legs. If you don't like that for bridge, you can squeeze the block between your legs. And if you want to make this more passive, you can place the block right underneath your sacrum. You're in a bridge. You can go even higher. You're still in a bridge. So feel free to lift up to that bridge. Even higher. You're still in a bridge. Oh, it feels so good too. So if you want, option to interlace your fingers underneath you. Option to reach your arms up and over your head. And for those of you who have a full wheel practice, feel free. And Sarah, if you're watching, from your full wheel all the way up to standing and back down. And if you can get 2 more in, 3 total. So I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable with the block so high. So I'm going to lower it. I'm not going to compromise the pose or the integrity of my spine just to impress you. And if you have the block underneath, you can lift your legs, or you can just lift one leg. If you're in a regular bridge, you can lift one leg, and the other can lift both. Now you're in a supported shoulder stand. So we'll take one more breath here. When you're ready, remove the block and lower all the way down. Coming in to happy baby pose. Bend the knees line up around your shoulders, hands inside or arms inside the legs to the inner foot, or arms inside the leg to the outer foot, or a yogi grip on your big toes. Don't just pull the knee or pull with the toes down, push into the hands at the same time. Tailbone down, back is imprinting into the mat. If you want more, kick into your hands and straighten out your legs the best you can. Inhale, belly and ribs in. Exhale, fully and completely. Inhale, your legs will lift and you'll cross your right knee over your left. Open up your arms wide like a T or cactus your elbows. Place your left foot down. Lift your hips, scoot your hips to the right, and very slowly bring your knees to the left. If it's too much, uncross and lower. If it's not enough, hook it behind your left leg. Although I am enjoying doing my YouTube videos, I do miss my Yoga Connection family very, very much. Even Brian. I miss you too, Brian. On your next inhale, slowly lift your knees back up, uncross, center your hips, bring your knees in, left over right, and then right foot down. Hips to the left, and then knees to the right. The block can also be used to shorten that range of motion. One more breath here. On an inhale, bring the knees back up, uncross, center your hips, bring your knees in. If it feels appropriate, lift up your head and give yourself a big hug. You grab opposite elbows or hands or somewhere in between. Sometimes I like to pull up on my feet. We have 2 more poses before our final Savasana. Soles of the feet together. Oh, this is my favorite use for the block. My favorite use for the block. Lower your feet down between your legs. Trust me, if you have some books or a block, use it. Just use it. It feels so good, and you can go higher. Oh, it feels even better. So we start to let go of the ujjayi breathing and start to just return to normal breathing, resting all of your attention on your breath, noticing where in the body it moves, relaxing areas like your face, your jaw, your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Relax your arms, your hands, palms face up. Notice how the fingers just naturally curl in. Start to scan your body. Separate your feet now wide as feels good in your body, and draw your knees towards each other. Don't force your knees to touch. That might take some time, and if you wanted to, you could rock your knees in and out a few times. But this just helps to decompress the low back. Those are two things I do like to do in all of my classes. I suffer from low back issues, so a lot of my classes are geared around that. The next class I will be doing will be along the lines of foundation training. So if you know, I can't think of his name right now. He's Eric Goodman, I think. He's a chiropractor. He's fantastic, fantastic. And he taught me a few amazing poses to help strengthen my core, my back. When you're ready, you'll stretch your legs out to each corners of the mat. Even look up at your feet, make sure they're relaxed. Fix your clothes if you need to. Let the arms, everything just go. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being a part of whatever it is that's going on around the world. We're going through it together. So I'm very grateful for this platform. Namaste, yogis.